That's right. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And SandyClaws, darling.
Take a Wile too.
And tonight, we're talking Mr. Banks. Oh, yeah. Okay, guys, so tonight is going to be the Tiki is going to eat crow because he was wrong about about not having faith in Brad Bird podcast. That's what tonight's going to be.
It's been a long time coming.
Like your crow, Tiki.
You know what? I'm going to make the crow into a pie to make it more edible, and then James Franco will approve. I'm going to have some crow pie with Franco.
What about the breakfast cereal, Crowios, an Alfred Hitchcock production?
Oh, man. Oh, God. Wow, that's pretty corny, Dragon. That's pretty darn corny.
Now,
Anyway.
now with added cornflakes.
Corny. It's Corneos.
Oh, man.
Let's cut the corn and get to the chase.
Yes. So, okay, famously, folks, when D23 rolled around and my expectations for The Incredible 2 having a 10-year time jump were not met, I was not happy.
Essentially, may I recap it just real quick?
Sure.
It was wah. They didn't use my idea. Wah. Oh, they didn't do a 10-year time jump.
I had some choice words. I had some choice words for Pixar.
Oh, poor man. It's not my idea.
I believe
I recall the word. I recall the word Disney's puppet disappointment and all that. You're basically sounding like. The people who complain about you basically sound like the people who are now complaining about The Last Jedi.
To me, I think the most cutting thing that I kept saying was the term creatively bankrupt.
And it did legitimately piss me off during that podcast, by the way. I just want to say it now. It did legitimately tick me off during that.
I don't blame you, Dragon. I don't blame you.
Especially considering went on for 10 minutes.
Okay, so suffice to say, the announcements this morning, I've changed my tune. Bob Odenkirk helps. Bob Odenkirk helps. He's like the doctor giving you a lollipop. He's like, here, Tiki, it's going to be okay. You might not get the time jump you want in this movie, but hey, there's always part 3. And in the meantime, you got me.
Remember, I think I teased you with the Odenkirk. We didn't know what he was going to play, but he was rumored to be in the movie.
We'll see. Okay, yeah. Well, I'm glad that came to fruition. So The Incredibles is all about the characters, folks, and that's what I love about the start of this marketing campaign. I love how we're focused so much on the characters. And I got to be honest with you, these new characters just have me completely sold. I'm just like, yes, more, please. I love it. I'm still a little sour on the 10-year time jump. I'm not going to lie. I'm still like, I'm not calling. I'm more excited about this movie. I'm much more excited about this movie. Having said that, I do hope eventually we get to see these characters aged, whether or not it be in like Incredibles 3 or, even like a crazy dream sequence. I don't know. I just want to see that. I just want to have that happen since we waited so long for these characters to come back into our lives. But before we talk about the characters we know and love, let's talk about the new characters. And man, oh man, this bunch of new characters, fantastic casting and just fantastic concepts all around. Don't you guys think?
Yeah, I'm very sold on them.
Now, did they release just the images with the actors, or did they release bios too?
Well, on the blog I'm on, Sandy, I believe there's an app where you can get a little bit more information, but I don't. Obviously, I can't screen share the app because it'd be on the phone. But on the blog I'm on, it's got a little, little blurb, a what we know, a little paragraph, which we'll go over.
Oh, I didn't see this. I never, because I saw it on Facebook, and they didn't have it on Facebook.
Okay, well, that's good, because this gives a little tease at what each of the characters' roles is going to be in the movie. So let's talk about Void. Void, of course, played by Sophia Bush. I'm not familiar with Sophia Bush. I haven't watched 6 Feet Under, which is the main thing she's known for. Any of you guys familiar with her at all?
No, unfortunately not.
All right.
Not really.
So Sophia Bush is going to be playing Void, and she's a wannabe super and a mega fan of Elastigirl. Her superpower is the ability to divert and manipulate objects around her by creating voids that allow the objects to appear and disappear. Super cool.
Short of Odenkirk, I'm most excited for Void. As a character, I'm most excited for Void.
Yeah, I think so. I think me too.
Oh, yeah.
I agree. Casting-wise,
like
I'm most excited for Odenkirk. Character-wise, I'm most excited about Void.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's like a very unique power, and has quite a bit of potential as like a character and a power.
Essentially, she has a black hole power. Essentially,
I wonder. Here's the thing, though. I wonder if those said objects could be people.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm kind of hoping what they do is, you know how they had the whole, Buddy mega fan of Mr. Incredible.
Yes, we have to address that, Sandy, because that's kind of the
I-
elephant in the room with Void.
we want to save that till.
I'm hoping should there be a scene with these two talking in the film, which I'm sure there is going to be without a doubt. I'm hoping that the Pars fix this mistake and strive to be as nice as they can.
Dragon, to answer your question, I think we should just address this now because it's a big talking point with our character.
So Void. I'll say this with our new characters overall, and I'm going to focus on Void here. Is that we don't have an official. Obviously, it looks like we're going to have like a villain reveal of some kind. So there is promising that our guys are going to go up against the villain. They haven't said who, and unless they're just saving who the villain is going to be, just like the last minute or just reveal in the movie, it could be like one of these characters could be the bad guy, and I think that's something interesting to go into with the marketing. It's kind of a gutsy move, and I think we're gonna kind of play into what Sandy's kind of saying there. I think we're gonna parallel the whole Buddy Pine thing with Bob, but with Helen, I think it's gonna be. I think Void most likely is gonna be the one who's gonna turn villain, but over Buddy, I think Elastigirl is gonna be able to redeem her in the end. I think Elastigirl is actually gonna be able to reach her and kind of stop and kind of help her.
Interesting.
Kind of interesting.
That's
kind
my
of
call
interesting
for
that
the
we
movie.
don't know her actual name.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
we don't know her.
Yeah, we just have the super name. Yeah.
Do you think that'll be discussed in the movie itself?
Could be.
That also would give credence, like she shows up. We don't know a lot about this character. Then we reveal, okay, there's a lot.
She could be somehow attached to Violet in some way. I don't know.
I don't know how old does she look to you? In the...
I mean, like, I realize that, like, let's say Violet's entering high school as a freshman, she could be a senior. I don't know. Like, that's still kind of a stretch, but it says she's a young kind of like wannabe super.
Sure.
Well, let's keep in mind that Bob and Helen aren't exactly. I'll continue. I forgot what I was going to say.
They're not exactly together. They're still married, but I mean, they're not going to be like sharing the same story. They're going to be going on different paths. Is that what you're looking for?
No, not quite. I'm just trying to find the best way to word it in the shortest way, but it's probably better if we just move on. Well, we can discuss this later.
I'm sorry.
I have a theory with Void that I'd like to.
Sure, go on.
Okay. My theory with Void is like I'd like to see kind of something similar to Kylo Ren, but in a way where it's like Elastigirl is terrified of Void because A, she's a fangirl. Elastigirl knows what's happened with fangirls before. B, Elastigirl, this is the thing that kind of ties in with Kylo Ren. Elastigirl, she's very fearful of Void's power. Like, such a young super is so powerful so quickly.
That's a very strong power she has. Again, the creative void. You trap someone in a void forever, technically.
So do you guys think there's any validity in Elastigirl being skeptical about Void and keeping Void at arm's length, maybe unnecessarily, whereas Void is... Because here's the thing. I don't think...
Tiki, how long of an arm's length?
No, I see credence in that. I do.
Okay, I don't think that Void's going to be the villain simply because I think if Void's the villain, we're just going to be repeating Syndrome. Like, really, logistically, I think Pixar is more creative than that.
Yeah, you just these days you just never know with Pixar. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna put my cards down on any type of theory because Pixar is gonna blow us out of the water.
I mean,
True.
I mean, like I said, I'd like to see like the potential of Void becoming a villain, if not just through like the legacy of Syndrome. You know what I mean? I want to see the legacy of Syndrome addressed with her character.
Tiki,
Well, hey, what if she was tied in with Syndrome somehow, in some way, shape, or
I mean, it's also entirely possible that she never even interacts with fan. Elastigirl is just a fan, like takes after her and like away or something. It's entirely possible that she doesn't interact with Elastigirl at all.
That's true. We don't know. We have no idea.
Well, I'll say this again. This thing, these.
I mean, it's not a great theory, and that right there is not a great theory, but it's still kind of valid. It just says she's a fan. I mean, it doesn't say like that they ever interacted or she'll force herself onto Elastigirl or anything like that.
Sure. Well, again, that's kind of the neat thing. Speaking of the Pixar villain thing here, because again, all four. Again, they could just have like another character they're keeping under wraps be the villain, but at the same time, all of these guys have good villain setups. If
all four of them could be the villain. You're absolutely right, Dragon.
That's what I'm saying. And with Void, now Tiki, I think regardless, your thing absolutely that's a good foundation for villain. Even if she doesn't take the villain's path, it's still a great foundation for a character thing to do with her. That Elastigirl keeping their arms length, paralleling the potential for the next Syndrome. I think we're absolutely going to get that regardless with her, which is very interesting. But I'll tell you, just with the Brad Bird, again, the thing I'm so looking forward to with this movie and Brad Bird overall, what he's applying to this movie, because he has been thinking about this, he's put a lot of thought into this, is that, he's going to, there's a lot of stuff there's a lot of things to comment on about what we see in superhero movies today, and now you can kind of factor that into how would The Incredibles progress, knowing what we know now about superhero films and superhero stories? Because now it would be addressing, like we addressed all these the great logical mundanities of being a superhero in the first Incredibles. Now we have an opportunity to do that now with the stuff we rant about all the time. We're like, hey, there's all the Man of Steel level destruction. There's like the changes in fashion. There's mentorship. There's all sorts of things to kind of look into there. Like I'm saying, if anything's going to, I think what might set Void down a dark path. The last thing I'll say about Void, then we'll move on.
Okay.
Is that I think at the sign, because this whole movie is going to be set upon bringing the supers back. And remember, the supers are kind of met by the Keene Act, which was, I'm thinking of the Watchmen thing. Met by the essentially what was the Keene Act from Watchmen, where we're retiring the superheroes, for everyone's betterment and such. Where I think she's going to face some X-Men-like skepticism, which, like, the rejection of, like, hey, supers, go home. Like, not everyone's going to be cool if the supers come back, and that might kind of start her down a villainous path, and it'll be up to Elastigirl to either save her or, redeem her or, like, kind of steer her away from that, whatever.
All right. Cool.
Okay. Always Void, a lot of potential.
Clever hair design, too. I mean, just one wrong thing. Just more thing. I liked her hair design.
This is the only design I'm not instantly sold on, by the way, the Ambassador.
Yeah,
it's I'm talking about the previous one, not instead of the Ambassador.
I know, sure.
Can I just say, Isabella Rossellini is she's like a doppelganger of Ginnifer Goodwin.
Oh my, yeah, you noticed that too.
Yes, I did.
He kind of does look like an older Ginnifer Goodwin.
Because when I saw the picture, at first I thought it was Ginnifer Goodwin.
Wow, you are right. You are so right.
Yeah, I mean,
right. I'm glad we're all on the same page about this.
Yeah.
I think out of the four of us, I'm probably the most sold about the Ambassador.
Yeah.
I like her.
I think she has the potential to be this movie's Edna in terms of design. Like, I don't necessarily... I think she's going to be a tiny person. Like a Brad Bird signature tiny person.
She looks
like the Wallace Shawn character was.
It might be the shoulders, but it kind of looks like a tiny person design. I got to give you that.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm thinking when we see her in motion, she's going to be much like Edna. She's going to have like a funny accent, I have a feeling.
Well, she is like a diplomat, or she's a... what was the bio say? I think we get the actual...
Yeah, let's go about the bio. She's an advocate for the supers and is committed to the support and legislation of superheroes.
I know she's also like, there's another thing I was reading that I think specifically said she was like a foreign diplomat of, she was like almost like it's like a UN ambassador, but for supers, like for the, I'm pretty sure about the, again, it's not here, so.
You know what? Something that I just got to get off my chest here. I really want some kind of syndrome continuation of some sort. I really don't want them to just drop that entire thing completely. I want it to come back in some way. You know,
well, I'm telling you, I think the void things, you're gonna get your wish on that void thing.
Yeah, I think
Sandy.
void is going to be kind of the thematic continuation of Syndrome.
I'm totally down for thematic continuation.
I mean, like you know, the entire island that they left and everyone on it and just all the machines and everything. You know what's going to happen with all of that? I mean, this is picking up right after Syndrome was killed. So, well I guess not long after he was killed. So, I just hope they pick up at least a little bit where they left off with him.
It would be cool to see a scene of them just kind of like excavating the island.
That would be really cool, like Jurassic World or something, you know?
Right, exactly.
One of two things will happen. I'd figure, because on the DVD for The Incredibles, they actually showed what happened to the island on the Blu-ray re-release. But then again, it was kind of like a, it's kind of a gag, but it's like something special for the DVD. But it's like world building. The idea is that again, I guess the supers. God, I forget what the abbreviations, like not NSA, but it was like something that was like super specific NSA. The point is, the agency that Rick Dicker works for, he the idea is that group, they basically repurposed the island to a vacation hotspot, a vacation destination, so tourists could go to the island. All the Omnidroids are reprogrammed to kind of make it like a tropical vacation. Like they're all the servants, like all these various prototypes of Omnidroids that were previously programmed to kill supers, but they're all like, there's a little smaller in stature, but they are exactly the Omnidroids you saw. So that's like that's what the Blu-ray didn't. But then again, that might not be directly what happened, so that could still be on the table.
I'm hoping it's not canon because that's a bit more comical than what I'd personally like. But
well, either way, that's like years down the line. But regardless, what I think we're gonna get, and I think you'll get your wish in this regard. I think the ambassador, or again, maybe even Rick Dicker, will just kind of will say, this. They'll mention the island. They'll say, "Oh, yeah, we claim the island. We're kind of using it for a base of operations, or we're doing we're doing stuff with the island." They'll probably address the island aftermath.
All right,
like a little throwaway bit.
All right.
I mean, I'm just gonna say one more thing here. In regards to the whole Void character, I think it would be really interesting since she's a big Elastigirl fangirl. I think it'd be really interesting of Mr. Incredible having a flashback of he and Buddy with this whole situation. Because if you remember, they did mention that they had met at the fan club. So I think something along those lines of some kind of.
I'd love to see a Jason Lee cameo, Sandy. Don't get me wrong. I'm with you there.
Well, the scene I'm looking most forward to, and that scene is kind of bringing it up there. I'd love to see a scene where Bob's giving Helen advice and like, well, you know what happened with Buddy. Like basically a nice tender scene of him giving her advice about how to handle this, like mentorship. Like, it didn't work out for me, Helen, but you might be cut out. You might be cut out for it, man. Go on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the ambassador, I think the last thing to hit on with her, the potential for her to be the villain, because I think that's something we have to talk about with all four of these new characters, honestly.
Yeah.
I definitely think she's in the running because very much like I think all three of the non-super new characters that we're getting very much seem like they're taking advantage of supers in one way, shape, or form.
And I think that's great. I love how they all have like a motive in that way.
Like she could be using supers like to further her political career.
Yes, she could be the Amanda Waller of The Incredibles.
Sounds interesting.
And here's the thing: I feel like this movie is going to essentially be the Winter Soldier of The Incredibles.
I'm Tiki, you know how happy that makes me if they're.
No, I'm serious though because I feel like this movie's going to be like a corporate espionage thriller.
Well, that's technically Ant-Man too, but yes, I do see the potential you're speaking of. Yes.
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's still, like it's very much kind of like shady stuff happening within corporations and secrets and whatnot. That's Winter Soldier-esque.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, what would be interesting though is like if all four of these new characters like were all involved with in one big conspiracy or something.
All right. Anything else to say about the ambassador, or should we move on?
Those are some big.
Again, all I can really predict with the ambassador is there's a chance, because what we know is the ambassador and her group, they're going to be most likely they're going to be supplanting Rick Dicker. More on that when we get to him, but they're kind of they'll be taking that place, which means that, again, it's kind of a new organization that the supers don't have like a built-in relationship with. So I mean, it adds to the mystery of, can we trust these guys? Do they have our best interests at heart?
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, and I believe that Rick Dicker is next. Yes, Rick Dicker played. So, Dragon, just when you woke up this morning and you found out that both Jonathan Banks and Bob Odenkirk were going to be in The Incredibles 2.
I knew Bob Odenkirk. I didn't know who Bob Odenkirk was. I was surprised by how much like Bob Odenkirk, his character looks like. That surprised me, and I was very look at there. But oh boy, Jonathan Banks.
I also think that Odenkirk's character was designed after they cast Odenkirk.
Absolutely, sure.
Sorry.
Yeah, but Jonathan Banks is Rick Dicker. Again, I feel Rick Dicker will have I think he's gonna have a minimal role. I'd like if maybe they brought him back, like just a touch more than that. Like I think we're gonna have like a really heartfelt goodbye scene at the beginning in Act 1 with Rick Dicker.
That's what I think too. Yeah.
We're at the very least we're going to get that, and I'll be satisfied with that. But I would love to see, like, at the end, let's say you assume the ambassador, whoever turns out to be the bad guy, then Rick Dicker shows up to help save the day in some small capacity. I think that'd be nice. And Jonathan Banks, I feel, of course, wait a minute, this is kind of occurring to me now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Bud Lucky's still around. I don't know why I didn't get him.
Yeah, back. He is. I don't know what exactly is up with that.
Well,
that suggests they really want some.
He kind of retired a few years ago, and he's 83 years old.
That is true, but he was still Chuckles in Toy Story 3 and in the Hawaiian Vacation short. So he's been doing voices after his retirement.
Well, I know it doesn't look like he has any recent work. I think looks like the last thing. Let me check.
I mean, look, even all the Toy Story stuff was like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, that's fair. Well, regardless, that suggests that we definitely have like a heartfelt scene coming with Rick Dicker, and they wanted to have just the right actor to really bring that out. So that's probably why they went with Jonathan Banks. And this does signal something to me with Brad Bird. If not Brad Bird, then definitely Brad Bird's crew, which would probably extend to Mark Andrews. So either Brad Bird or Mark Andrews. They got to be Better Call Saul fans.
I'm sure.
They got to be, because I can absolutely see that when we get to the bio for Odenkirk's here.
And Dragon, you know I'm crossing my fingers that we're going to see Fabian there somewhere.
I would be the happiest. I'd be so happy if we got Patrick Fabian.
Maybe Fabian can replace Frank and Ollie as the Brad Bird cameo.
Oh yeah, but I can't wait. Honestly, this just gets me hyped up for the commentary for Incredibles 2. I just want to hear Brad Bird say, "I'm a Better Call Saul fan." I'm dying to hear that. All but yeah, I absolutely approve of Jonathan Banks as Rick Dicker. I think it's good casting.
Okay, moving on. Okay, let's get to Evelyn Dever.
This is a good design that reminds me of very much reminds me of one of Edna Mode's original designs. Mm-hmm. They might have kind of looked to that when they were kind of designing this character.
Okay,
people have pointed out about her name is that her name sounds like Evil Endeavor.
Oh God! Oh no, you're right.
I didn't think of that. Wow. I'll say this though, on the first read, before I basically I was for the first time I was looking at these, and as I was scrolling down, of course, as we see, it's pretty much ordered the same way here. Void's lower down. Evelyn did sound the most villain contender before I got the Void.
And like I said, I think for me, Void isn't really a villain contender, so it's interesting how we differentiate on that.
I'm just saying potential for, again, I could see a gripping potential villain thing with, I don't think Void's going to be pure evil. I think she's just going to, might fall.
I would say at this point, Evelyn is the most likely villain.
I'll give you that. Evelyn, I think, is the callable villain. Again, they could surprise us, though. That's the thing. Pixar, you never know with those guys. They could always...
I would guess she is the least likely to be the villain.
Really?
That's the thing.
That's funny how we're kind of all over the board when it comes to our villain predictions.
I'm surprised at you. I would never think that you would think someone with a name like Evil Endeavor would be the main villain of a Pixar movie.
Sandy, I have my reasons beyond the name. When Jacob pointed that out, I didn't even realize that. I have my theories that we'll get into with her.
But I
I just
do
think if they're releasing her name this early on, people have time to pick that up, and it's not like they're sitting in the theater for an hour and they don't notice it.
and that
I hear
that
ya.
communicates. That's Pixar knowing what they're doing. That we have all these great red herrings that you could call as a villain at any point in the movie. Almost.
Okay, so let me, guys, let me read her bio just really quick. She's a brainchild behind the Winston's company, knows her way around tech, and has never met a problem she couldn't solve. Importantly, here's the thing I want to hit on with Evelyn that I really think is going to be prominent. We'll kind of touch on this too when we get to Helen, but I really think this is going to be Helen's would-be work friend who turns out to be evil.
I could buy that.
And that's why I think she has so much potential to be the villain, is that it'd be like a crushing blow to Helen, where the movie starts out, Helen thinks she's got this work friend, this great ally, and then like we get a twist at the end of Act 2, and so I don't know. I could just it'd be obvious, yes, but I just think thematically, like she feels like she could be an evil version of Elastigirl.
It's not here, and I know I definitely read this somewhere where with Evelyn, basically they had the brother and the sister pair, which we're going to get to the brother Winston in a moment here, but they definitely said that Evelyn was the brains behind the operation. She's the smart one. She's building all the tech, and whenever you have like a brains behind the outfit, that usually indicates like, okay, someone has all the capability in the world to become a villain, despite the guy in the forefront running things. Like one guy's a figurehead, the other one. I'm saying that's a way it could go. I'm not saying that's how it's going to go, but the idea is she co-runs the company, and she works technology, and I love that she's kind of the answer to, and again, Tiki with your friend theory. She definitely has things in common with Edna Mode, and Edna and Elastigirl Helen definitely have a history and relationship, and I don't know if they're necessarily going to go this route, but if Helen kind of falls in with kind of this, these guys trying to pull her back into the hero game, maybe Edna gets left out, and in doing so, Helen just kind of butting up with kind of her new Lucius Fox, if you will, through Evelyn, kind of makes Edna jealous, and Edna kind of has a warpath, like, I'm going to save Helen from this.
I like that.
I know she's the bad guy. Look at her. She's stealing my friend.
Her name is Evelyn Dever, for God's sakes. It's evil Endeavor, Bob.
Yeah.
It's like it'd be kind of interesting to see if she pulls any sneaky moves, like maybe even try and maybe even kill him in some way. I mean, because the first one didn't really shy away from these people will murder you, so it'd be kind of interesting to she has the potential to do that.
They did definitely establish those stakes. I respect the heck out of the first one where they established that, hey, these men will kill you if you don't fight back, man.
Mm-hmm. Also, let's just address the casting. I really like Catherine Keener. I think she's going to play well off of Bob Odenkirk. And again, as a villain, we just saw her be a terrifying villain in Get Out. So yeah, I think there's some potential there.
I just can't wait to see all the technology we're going to get from her. I'm sensing gadgets with this new character, and that gets me excited.
I mean that is kind of a Titus syndrome, actually.
Yeah. Again, they got another. Again, there are these little breadcrumbs with all these guys. You never know.
Could they be the parents of Buddy?
Come on.
Nah.
No.
I don't think the age gap would mathematically work out with that.
Unless there's like an Incredibles version of the Lazarus.
What if Buddy actually sold some of them their weapons? Like, what if because it mentioned that Buddy actually.
Hey, that could tie into Sandy's theory.
Like that.
They could have gotten their hands on. They could have excavated the island with their company money. They could have got over there, got all Syndrome's tech before Rick Dicker's company came by.
Well, yeah, what I'm saying is he mentioned he sold them to kind of large countries, or it's quite possible he sold them to several corporations, and could be possible that they were one of them.
That's another good point. Absolutely, could go either way on that one. Yeah.
Okay, so shall we move on to the Odenkirk?
Yeah, the next suspect. Let's go.
I mean, just the Odenkirk.
The Odenkirk.
The Odenkirk.
Odenkirk, yes.
And not Steve Odenkirk.
All right, now, did they base Winston off this guy?
I would be amazed if they didn't.
Like,
look at the forehead.
Canny. Look at that.
I mean, look at the forehead, the eyebrows, the eyes.
Again, this is further proof that Brad Bird had to be what?
The eyes. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say absolutely. I mean, come on, this has to be the design. If they came with the design first, that implies okay, we absolutely big Better Call Saul fans. We really want Bob Odenkirk. We're gonna show him this, so we blown away. That's got to be the logic behind that. Unless they just got him early on, they had to get him early on, or they just really wanted to wow him. That's what's behind getting Odenkirk for this movie.
Like a lot of people seem to agree with you. It's like they're like, yeah, totally designed him after they cast Odenkirk.
Yeah, it looks great. I'm very excited.
I think in terms of the character, I just feel like this guy is going to be the man that Saul Goodman wants to be.
Yeah!
And that's going to be very fun for Odenkirk to play because, of course, like he's going to be like Saul Goodman, but with all the legitimacy behind it.
Tiki. He's going to be... It's great.
Oh,
he's
God.
going to be Jimmy McGill. It's going to be Bob Odenkirk playing Howard Hamlin.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I can see
Okay,
that.
but in all seriousness, though, what I really like, and again, this makes me hope that they're going off the Better Call Saul thing, which I think could bring a richness to this character. Even if they don't, it'll be fun. But I'm just saying a richness I could absolutely see them bring into this is because the idea, he runs the telecommunications company, and this guy, he's the smooth talker. He's these kind of the suave businessman. He's the guy who, again, as his bio claims, he's a fan of the supers. He's the one who.
Let's get into that bio really quick, Dragon.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so Winston leads a world-class telecommunications company alongside his genius sister, Evelyn. He is a huge supporter of supers and wants them to return to the spotlight.
So this guy's leading the charge, it would imply, and his sister's kind of creating the means to help facilitate. The idea is that this company, they run telecommunications. That means they're running PR for the supers. They're trying to facilitate, hey, let's bring the supers back, and most likely they'll be entwined with the ambassador who's also leading the legalization of bringing back the supers, and he's facilitating like the public opinion of them. So essentially, he's the salesman. She's the manufacturing. That's kind of where that breakdown is. It would seem like she made the company. He made the outreach for the company.
Now, if these two really are, if they really are the villains of the film, I wouldn't be surprised if they were playing everyone up to believing they were brother and sister when they were actually married.
Oh, come on. Let's not make everything a Tommy Boy reveal. Come on.
I'm just saying everyone's throwing theories out there, so I might as well get on the action.
Sure. But yeah, what I'm saying is with the Better Call Saul thing, I keep playing there is that I love it if they had like he actually believes in this, and he's like, it would suggest that okay, this guy, he could be a sleazy businessman who's like doing it for his own appeal. But again, I like if we had like a Jimmy McGill, basically instead of just playing the novelty of hey, it's Saul Goodman, let's play the sweetness of like it's a guy who truly believes in this, like Jimmy McGill. That's what I'm hoping they kind of squeeze into this character. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay, guys, let's just go rapid fire through the returning characters until we get to Helen. Of course, there's going to be a lot to talk about with Helen.
Yeah. All
right.
Odenkirk. Okay.
So Syndrome, and of course with this bio it gives us like little teases. So
looks like Syndrome gets a sweet new coat.
Yes. His superpower is making eyes with the point of the finger. He wouldn't think twice about breaking out his super suit if it could bring the supers out of hiding. So seems to be like Syndrome. I could see Syndrome and Helen working together. Like I could see. Or I'm sorry, I'm saying Syndrome. Why the hell am I saying Syndrome? See, I could picture Frozone being like Helen's, kind of part of Helen's PR team. Like, hey, here's a really cool superhero, pun intended.
I definitely see Winston reaching out to Frozen. Another thing I read is that another thing kind of suggests villain with Winston, but also implies Frozen's going to be a part of with Helen. Is that I read somewhere that. He's a guy who wouldn't mind having a super or three. It was like in parentheses, all sinisterly.
Or three
on his team. I think that's like on like the official like post. This was like posted on like on the like Disney Pixar's like not Twitter, I think, and that's where they kind of adapted this into maybe streamline some of that. I don't know.
Now
the point, yeah.
Go ahead, Dragon.
I'm sorry. Yeah, what I'm getting is that again that implies that okay, super or three. I would imagine a team just based on that or three comment to be okay. Helen, Frozone, and Void.
And Void, yeah.
Now, how many supers do you guys think are left? Because we got to remember, Syndrome killed off a lot of them.
I think we're getting all new guys, and you'd have we know we have Frozone left. I think if we have anyone left, it'll be very, very sparse because we know Gazer Beam's dead. And as Sandy said, like they're all essentially, they are all dead because the Amadroid worked up. It killed anyone who survived. Got killed by the next version of the Amadroid. So essentially, the original generation of supers are extinct, but people are still getting power. So they're just supers in hiding. So we just have new guys emerging. That's probably what we'd be stuck with.
Okay, moving on. Okay, your favorite, Sandy.
Wonderful, darling, wonderful.
I wonder how much they paid this guy to take on the role.
Oh, he's scraping the bottom of the barrel, huh?
So, in The Incredibles 2, she longs for the return of supers so that she can get back to making super suits with no capes.
No capes.
No capes.
No capes.
So I'm absolutely in love with the theory that she's just totally anti the Devers and just wants to get Helen away from them by any means necessary.
The thing with Edna and Frozen, I imagine they're both kind of biting at the teeth. More so Edna than Frozen, but they're both like looking forward to returning. They're just waiting on the legislation to pass it. And in Edna's case, I would imagine that our first scene with her is like at the news, like a news broadcast says, "Super is being considered to officially return legality." And then we transition to Edna Mode's fancy kind of fashionista place, and we see walls and walls racked with designs, and she's like a junkie.
Oh my god! Yes.
I'm just waiting until they pass the bill. Just be going crazy out of her mind as Helen just shows up. Hey, Edna, how you doing? Helen, come here. I have suits for you to try on. You can stretch your size. You can put them all on. You can model them for me. Hurry up.
Right. Oh god. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, Violet Parr. So it seems like mostly it's gonna be she'll begin to master her superpowers and invisibility force fields. I think there might be potential for her to interact with Void. I've already mentioned this. Like I said, I'm not like saying like she's like going to school with Void or anything like that. I'm just saying like maybe in the finale she has a big action scene where her and Void fight alongside each other. You got to admit Violet and Void's powers complement each other. I'm sorry, Sandy, go ahead.
I was just saying she could go to school with Violet. We never know. I mean, that's definitely on the table.
Like if she goes to school with Violet, I think age gap wise, Violet would be like a freshman in high school and Void would be a senior. I think that's the only way they could do it. But
yeah.
Well, what grade was she in in The Incredibles? I mean,
I'm pretty sure she was in 8th grade in The Incredibles.
So yeah, so it's like she's in this film only takes place briefly after. I mean, like entirely possible that she's either entering high school or is about to go into high school.
Now, what grade was Dash in?
Dash is 10, so I think he was like 5th grade, and it could be possible that Dash could have a storyline where he's entering middle school as Violet's entering high school.
They definitely reveal what grade he's in the movie, but I can't remember. It's because he's moving from this grade. Remember, Bob's going on that rant to Helen. Says he's just moving from this grade.
Oh yeah, right.
6th grade, 5th grade to that's what it was.
It must, It's I guess I'm sorry. Is it 4th to 5th or is it 5th to
5th to 6th?
All right, it's one of those two, but that's where it's word.
And he has a lot of silver trophies.
Yes.
Now, here's the only thing with the kids, honestly. The only thing I'm really two things, I guess. One, I would predict, and this would be kind of cool if Bob was mentoring them as like the kids, if they want to kind of embrace their superdom, Bob would have to kind of walk them through a patrol. Like, how does this work? It's kind of like teaching the kids how to drive almost. Mainly Violet. Again, Dash. I imagine Dash would be willing to go and be like father-son bonding. The point is,
I have some problems with Dash just based on the description for him, but we'll get there. And again, It's based on one sentence, so in general, it could be totally irrelevant.
Well, the other thing in general is with the kids, mainly Dash and Violet, I'm really is a simple thing. I just wonder, are they going to have better names than Dash and Violet? Because they have to have some super name, otherwise people are going to know it's them. It's like Arthur from The Tick, The only difference is
it would be like
Essentially,
Arthur from the Tick.
it's like Arthur from the Tick. It's like this using the first name. I mean, especially in the case of Dash, because again, he goes to school Dashel Par. I mean, Dashel Dash. It's pretty, it's like he calls himself the Dash. I know people have been saying like, hey, it's like the Flash. It's the Dash. It's
especially considering all they have. And also, especially considering all they have to disguise themselves are black masks.
Exactly. I mean, they can look. I'll give the black mask. I'll give the domino mask a pass because that's a year. It's 70 years.
It's stylistic.
That's 70 years at this point. You gotta roll with
it. Also, I'm just very happy that Sarah Vowell's returning to voice Violet. Violet's a very special character to me.
You guys remember the bonus feature with Sarah Vowell? That little
yes, I do. Violet, I was 14 when I saw The Incredibles, and I was like a shy and awkward kid, just like Violet was. So Violet, always a character that really spoke to me on a deep level. So I'm very excited to see the return of Violet. I feel like she's a lot of people's like sentimental favorite.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get to Dash, and here's the thing that I'm kind of skeptical with Dash. In The Incredibles 2, we'll see that he doesn't understand why he has to keep his powers a secret. Wasn't that literally the arc of the first movie?
Well, it could be interesting. Wait, what do you mean? No, remember, he wasn't allowed... Wait, to say his powers are... keep his powers...
I thought, like, the whole arc of the first movie was that, like, he understood why he, like, had to throw sports contests and stuff. Like, he... I don't know. Like, I thought that was, like, a big issue in the first movie.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what it might? I think it might be. I think it might be a graduation from not that was about embracing your power, just not having your powers versus just having powers. I think this one's gonna be about the identity. Maybe they'll address the identity thing like that. Like he wants to do the Iron Man approach of like, hey, I mean, what's the big deal? I mean, these domino masks, they barely hide who we can call it out.
I could see Dash doing that.
So regardless, I think it's going to be a graduation of. I don't think it's going to be a rehash. I think they're going to graduate what's about here. And again, like the point of like with sidekicks and these domino masks. I mean, who can mess with us anyway? Why we hide our identities?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
He is. Got to voice him actually does really look a lot like Dash.
Yeah, that's true.
See, that's honestly, aside from just the years waiting for the Incredibles, Dash was the only other holdback that suggested that there would be a time jump. Because it's always a question: do you recast the kid or do you move on with it? And I think they kind of maybe weighed their options. Well, you know what? We only have to recast one person. We're already recasting Rick Dicker, so I mean, what's the harm in it? That's probably.
I'd really like Spencer Fox to at least get some kind of cameo as.
Well, I'm sure they'll do that. I did that with Nemo, and
like Alexander Gould did.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Huckleberry.
Getting close to the end here.
All right.
So Mr. Incredible, we basically know what Mr. Incredible's role is going to be. He's going to be Mr. Mom in this movie.
Yeah, literally, and
which in a fun way it's like calling back to the Michael Keaton Batman thing, which I think is hilarious and meta.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, I love reversing. I'm sorry, Jake. Go on.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything. I was just.
Oh, well, again, with the Mr. Mom thing, one is just that's fun. But I love how it reverses Bob and Helen's roles from the movie. I think they're going to have an interesting arc where it's going to be, Bob is, he's. I think at the beginning of this movie, I would imagine where Bob's going to have like a scene with Helen where they're going to be kind of talking with each other. He's going to realize, you know what, I missed out all this time on the previous adventure, the previous Syndrome debacle. I missed so much time with him, and my head was other places. I want to change that. I want to be a better father here, and and that'll be why he's kind of mentoring the kids through their powers, and also dealing with Jack having the surprise, all the various. Like the almost infinite powers he's developing right now, so that'll be fun. Again, kind of the stay-at-home dad versus the mother who kept denouncing her powers and just trying to hide her powers, trying to hide who she is and what her past was, and she'll be confronted. She'll be taking Bob's midlife crisis, but willingly.
Mm-hmm. Dragon, I also like your idea of him mentoring the kids. And I like the idea of training them in their, on patrol, like being kind of the equivalent to a driving lesson for Violet. That's very good. That's very
and
good.
Also, that's putting Bob in the position of I can make up for not mentoring Buddy by mentoring my kids to make sure they don't turn out to be, supervillains or do irresponsible stuff with their powers. Less supervillain, more irresponsible stuff, and it could lead to bad stuff.
Sure. Okay, and finally, folks, let's move on to the main star of the show here. Very clever that they kind of did this role reversal with the main characters. Helen Parr, a.k.a. Elastigirl.
Yeah.
I love how confident she looks in the artwork.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a really smart move to make her kind of our lead character this go around.
Oh, yeah, I think it's a really inspired choice, yeah.
What's her bio say on her? What do we got?
Give me one sec. The Incredibles 2, Helen is tapped to lead a campaign to bring the supers back into the spotlight. We can't wait to see her. Okay, so it just kind of vaguely teases the new villain. And that she's working to bring supers into the spotlight. So
again, she's going to be the face of the super revolution, like bringing the supers back. She's going to be the main face that again, our PR guys are going to be posting all over the place.
She's going to be like absolutely the most popular, like least divisive face among those.
And again, that's something she's not going to be used to because that again, this is going to be set like shortly after the first movie. She's going to be thrown to something she's really, she's really not prepared for because again, she spent all that time being the antithesis of no, we shouldn't come back. That'll be very interesting. That's selling me more and more on the whole we're picking up right where we left off because again, there is a big status quo change and we're addressing aftermath, and I think that's really smart.
Sure. Okay. Anything else you guys want to say about Helen?
Nope. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Did they change her eyes? It looks like maybe it's just the artwork. I don't know.
It could just be the artwork. I like how they have a consistent style in the artwork. I like the way this art looks.
I hear this is based on something called the Google Art app, where I guess they match you to works of art or something, and they kind of put it side to side.
I really have no idea how that works, but yeah, you're right. It is something Google related.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's kind of cool. They kind of made that original and tailored toward them. It's just looks like I would imagine this works better than the actual Google Art app.
And like I said, I think this announcement is just a very, very smart marketing campaign choice because
it's like breadcrumbs.
yeah, because it's really like, hey, there's a villain in the movie, and we're gonna give you 4 characters. Can you guess which one's the villain? Who knows? Maybe Patrick Fabian's the villain. We haven't announced him yet. That's very possible. It's very possible that they just haven't announced the villain yet. I mean, that's totally up on the table.
The golfer.
Maybe.
Oh God.
The pickle plunderer.
Jack as the villain would be like a more diabolical Maggie Simpson. Anyways.
A terrible tea meister. Anyway.
Sandy, you want to take us out with some Edna?
Sure, darling, that would be wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for watching. It was very nice talking with Tiki and Dragon and Jacob.